You're watching Footy Fantasy. It is sure say the thing will beat your football needs. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. It's Footy Fantasy. You're watching Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy. It is sure say the thing will meet your football need. Your football need. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. Sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. Your eyes go see. Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy.
Welcome, one and all. Welcome to Footy Fantasy, another edition of your favorite football podcast. And we have a bumper edition today. We have a wide range of guests joining us. But before we dive into all of that, we're going to do a bit of housekeeping. You can reach us on Twitter at Footy AD Fantasy and Instagram at Fantasy Footy, and our YouTube channel is at Footy Fantasy. Give us a share, like, subscribe, spread the word, and we'll jump right into it. Today, we have three fantastic guests here with us representing Chelsea, Man United, and Newcastle. And we'll start with the Chelsea fan, Don Dada. We're happy to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Good man, good man. And then we have Mr. Spliff, representing Man United. Let's hear you.
Is he on?
Yeah, we are live, Mr. Spliff. We're just welcoming you to the show. Itata, can you hear us? Okay, we'll come back to Itata. And Raji, the man from the north, king
Thank
in
you
the
very
north.
much.
Welcome on the
Thank
show.
you. I mean, you know, it's typical of Manchester United fans to always fail to appear. So, we'll be expecting it. But I'm glad to be here to speak briefly about Newcastle's wonderful expected victory over Arsenal and expected revenge over Chelsea if that comes up to play. But I want to start talking a little bit about how good the team has started to play recently. We've not been great.
Okay, wait. You cannot hijack our agenda. Our agenda was not to have a Newcastle fan today. So you cannot hijack our agenda first. So you have to wait.
We don't appear as often. So whenever I come, I always want to just tell everything, give everybody the summary.
Let me give you an example of somebody that came last week. Benvido, Barcelona fan, requested to jump on last week. And why would that be? Of course, because they won Clasico. So people will say, Raji, why are you so eager to show up when you're winning? But when you were losing and graduating the L's, you were not here. But now you're winning and you're hijacking the show. That's a question.
I want to be clear. I didn't come here uninvited. I was invited here to give a summary. If people didn't invite me, I won't come. But I'm invited, and I always love when I'm invited. So I come here and I show my appreciation because I love the quality of this podcast. But it's not a situation where I'm like trying to enter the podcast. I'm not like that. I'm fine.
No problem. We're happy to have you. I'm just lying to you. We're happy to have you. But based on the fact that you actually have another show to go off to, we'll start off with the Newcastle bits. So first of all, I see you already went there. We'll start with the League Cup because you guys knocked out Chelsea a few days ago. So summary on that before we go to the Arsenal one. How did you feel after that?
So I'm going to start with the caveat that, whatever we say about that game, there was a significant amount of changes that happened in the Chelsea team. And Cole Palmer was not playing. And the game we played against Chelsea on Saturday, the main difference between Newcastle and Chelsea was Cole Palmer. So he was a significant pivot that didn't exist on that game. However, Newcastle made some changes too. So we weren't playing with a full squad. I think what that particular game kind of showed was that we could change the formation. We've been struggling significantly with the right side of our attacking force. We had players there who were not effective, and in that game, the manager decided to take Joe Linton from the midfield and put him on the left wing. And Gordon is a left winger primarily, and that's his strength. And then he took Gordon and put him on the right. And all of a sudden, that whole thing changed. The third thing he did was he added Willock to the starting lineup. So Willock and Joe Linton were switching positions as the game went by. They were interchanging. So all of a sudden, that whole left wing became dynamic. And the right wing was also strong because Gordon he's not ideal on the right, but he was really good there. So he took that particular tactic. We won 2-0 against Chelsea, and then he transplanted that against Arsenal. The only difference he made in that lineup was instead of playing Bruno, instead of playing Tonali as the number 6, he played Bruno. Tonali played very well in that game. But one of the things that we're slowly coming to realize is that Tonali and Bruno, they play similar games. So there's no creative outlet. Now he's realizing that, and he's trying to change it. So now we're playing either Tonali or Bruno. And in this game, Tonali as number 6 and played a more balanced forward. And somehow we continue to improve.
Okay. So that's a good summary of the Carabao Cup exploit. I mean, it's good for you guys to advance because I know Newcastle have not won a trophy in like 60 years. So this is a good chance for you to advance and try and pick up a trophy eventually.
I'm very happy you brought that point up. It definitely was not something we're aware of, but now that you've mentioned it, everybody knows that Newcastle has not won a trophy.
I was just bringing up a fact. Don Dada, do you have any summary for the League Cup? Do you care about it? Did you care about the Carabao Cup? Was it high on your list of priorities?
No, I mean it would be hypocritical for me to say, we don't care. It's not like Chelsea are prolific trophy winners, right? So yeah, I do definitely care about the League Cup. I'll take whatever I can get. But I told a lot of the Chelsea fans last week that there's no way we're going to do a double over Newcastle, right? We won at home in what I thought was maybe somewhat of a close game. If you really had to pick a winner on the balance of play, maybe Chelsea should have won, but it wasn't a clear and obvious 3 points, right? But we did what we had to do. And then going back to Newcastle, I had a feeling that we're not going to win that game. It was the manner in which we lost that surprised me. Newcastle are a good side. They've been playing below what their performance would suggest, especially based on their talent. So you were expecting a reversion at some point, and I felt like that Chelsea fixture was a good reversion for them. We fielded a weaker side. I don't know if you guys follow Chelsea as much, but we typically have 2 teams, Team A and Team B, and we put Team B in the Conference League and the Cup games, and we did the exact same thing. The only strong player on the lineup was Kukurea, but the rest were B players. And Newcastle did what they had to do. The tactic made sense. They were able to counter having an extra man in the midfield by having Isak and Gimaresh press forward, and exposed us as expected. So yeah, there's not a lot to read. There wasn't a lot to read into that game, but what had surprised me was the Arsenal game. I actually thought since Newcastle had played it essentially 3 tough games that they were going to fall short when they played Arsenal, but they didn't, which kind of justified my thesis to the Chelsea players, to the Chelsea fans, because I essentially said, look, guys, this is a good side. We won the game at home. It's expected to lose away. So them beating Arsenal in the manner they did kind of solidified that point. So not a lot to read into it. It is what it is. We're out of the competition. There was no way our B team was going to beat Newcastle. So
yeah, fair play. Let's segue to the Arsenal one. Sorry, right, Gillette, because this is what the fans want. This is what our audience wants. Let's leave the Newcastle Chelsea one because that's a few days ago. So our audience want you to cook Arsenal fans. So let me read the comment and set the stage. We just segue into the Arsenal one. Ayo has already come straight away. Let's Raji cook. Okay. Kaiser, I think that's Dyer. that Bayern Munich fans say, why is there no Arsenal fan here for Raji to cook? Like everybody, they're just waiting for you to just roast these Arsenal fans. Oga Kwame says, I don't know why it's called the Tom Tom Zebra Crossing Brother. He said you should be cooking Arsenal and Chelsea. He said, why is United catching straight? Yeah, of course, United have to catch straight. Why not? Oga Kwame says, as usual, no Arsenal fans are here to get cooked. These guys are such shite. They are not even going to win the December Premier League trophy. So, over to you, Raji. The audience, they want you to cook Arsenal fans. Fire away.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. It's never fun when you're talking to yourself. So I'm not. There's not really much. You saw the conversations that were had yesterday on the channel, which were very interesting. But I'm going to say just one or two things real quick before I bounce. Number one, it's always easy, you know. I think, you know, that even that I expected that Arsenal would beat us at St. James Park, but more often than not in this last few years, whenever they come to St. James Park, they lose. I want to make it clear that this is not a game that Arsenal typically wins anymore. No London-based team typically comes to St. James Park and win. In the last 11 games against some London teams in St. James Park, we've won all 11. So I just want to make that clear, you know, that St. James Park is not easy to come to for especially teams that are coming from London. You know, and Arsenal fans, it's difficult to have a conversation if there's no Arsenal fan here. It's always good to bounce things around. But I will say that there was an image that was circulating online that showed the sideline being drawn towards where Anthony Gordon crossed the ball from, and Arsenal fans shouting, "Are you sure that ball is not out?" Which is basically the motto that I'm usually aware of when it comes to Arsenal fans. They like to complain. And they complain. When they lose, it's not about them. It's always about the other team. So it's a bit disappointing that there's no Arsenal fan to talk to. They always disappear. Before the game, you know, they always say that they'll beat us, they'll destroy us. That one person even said there's no disrespect to Newcastle United. Nobody cares about them. But then when we beat them, they just disappear. So I think it's a little bit cowardly, but
okay. Let me step in here. Let me step in here. It's the fact that we didn't invite any Arsenal fans. So, but they are free. If there's any representative from Arsenal that wants to join this podcast to get roasted and cooked by Raji, you can join. You can seek an invite. We'll bring you on. But actually, we didn't invite them to the podcast. It's not that they were running, but now we're extending the invitation to them. If there's any Arsenal fan that wants to come and give a rebuttal to Raji, the Newcastle fan, please let me know. We'll add you to the stream. But I mean, let's talk about the game itself. Let's leave the cooking aside. What were your feelings on the game?
Let me just say, I'll tell you this. I went into that game confident that Newcastle was going to win. At no point did I think that Arsenal was going to win the game at all. The question was, is it going to be 1-0 or 2-0? That's all that was in my mind. Honestly, I think that Arsenal is a really good team, but Arsenal has regressed this season. I think that they've bought some players and they've created a reliance on some players as a result of it. It used to be a lot more dynamic. There used to be a lot more movement. But now that they've said to rely on certain players, when those players are missing, the game changes. So it's like it's easy for us and for Newcastle to plan for that specific thing. And as a result, I mean, they still had some clever moves. They almost scored towards the end. Declan Rice almost scored. So it's not as if that the game was particularly like an easy game, but I think that we've played more difficult teams at St. James Park this season.
Wow.
Brighton being one, even Bournemouth when they came to play us, that they even scored in the last minute, but they canceled that last goal. They were more difficult than Arsenal. Arsenal is interesting, but I don't know. I mean, if they think they're going to win the Premiership this season, then it's always fun to listen to them at the end of it. That's all I'm going to say.
Like Patrick Evra would say, next season, They're like Netflix. You're just watching them for next season. Yeah. Well, Koji
thank you
saying
very
that.
much.
Well, yeah, heading off. Okay. Well, it's a pity no Arsenal fan.
Let's see what Sergi has to say. I will answer the question.
Oh yeah, I just read the comment. Of course, Koji saying that Arsenal did not play today, and they were complaining about referee for United versus Chelsea game. That's typical Arsenal fan for you. Sergi also says they will not show up. They don't know how to talk trash from their keyboard. Wow, Arsenal fans are really getting a kick in here today. Do you have any final words for them, Raji, before you head off?
Take their matching orders from their coach Arteta, who is the master complainer, and you know their captain of their team, Jorginho. Immediately I see that guy in any game, I just want to punch him because that guy he complains so much. And they brought him in yesterday. I wanted to kick my television. But Arsenal fans are Arsenal fans. They like to complain, and anyway. That's all I have to say. Bring an Arsenal fan next time. Let's talk, and we'll see where it all ends up. But till then, I'll have to say goodbye.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your candor and your humility when it comes to Arsenal.
I'm a very humble man. A very humble man. All right. Ciao.
All right. Chat to you later. Thank you. Yeah, some people really enjoy that. I think the Man United fan has enjoyed this the most for some reason. Enjoy this broken of Arsenal. But we have another Man United fan joining us, officially in the podcast now. Mr. Flip, Mr. Ipata. We're happy to have you. Sir. Please fire away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We're going to talk about United Chelsea now. So
for some weird reason, Ten Hag got a hold of my computer before this podcast started. So, so blame it on Ten Hag. Yeah, well, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, it wasn't far from what I expected. It wasn't necessarily a new manager bounce for United. All Van Nistelrooy needed to do was just to organize the team, and he did a very good job because I saw the Chelsea lineup. I'm not going to even front. I saw the Chelsea lineup. I was like, man, this is a very stable lineup. If everything clicks, we might get destroyed, But so Van Nistelrooy just did the smart thing, organized the team to where, United would not be run over. And, and I think some sort of shackles were off the United players and they could, they could play. They could play their football and just express themselves freely. Chelsea is Chelsea. They weren't at full gear today, thankfully. It might be because of United's organization, but otherwise it was a good game. Not far from what I expected. I didn't expect to win the game, but I'll take the draw. And I'm just being honest. I'll take the draw. Long may it continue. I think it's a good foundation for Amorim to build on. If they can keep the consistency going, the new coach can come in and build on it. And we have to understand Chelsea is ahead of us when it comes to organization and structure. Their coach, Maresca, incredible. He's not loud. He goes about his business and has been able to set up Chelsea. And he's, I was listening to his interview. He's pretty much honest. He said, I have the players I want to work with. And even within working with my players, I'm going to be honest with them. Those that are good, I'll let them know. Those that need to improve, And he was asked about Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is world class. He said yes, but there is still room for improvement. So, it was a good show today. It was a good show. Actually, what I expected, but I didn't expect United to win. That's the honest truth.
Okay. So even with the new manager bounce, you didn't think with this new manager bounce?
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't really a new manager bounce per se. It was just Ruud coming in and setting the team up and pretty much telling them, you don't have to lose the game. If you lose respectfully. That's what I could get from the game. There wasn't a bounce, like Old Trafford wasn't rocking. The players weren't firing at all cylinders. It was just they were organized, just try to play and keep a respectful result. That's it. That's what I could get
Okay,
from the game, pretty much.
no problem. Okay. I'll take a comment from Toji, then I'll throw this section open to Dada, so Dada can tell us what he feels about Chelsea's performance today. So Toji is saying Garnacho's decision making has to be much better. Rashford has played well the last couple games, but can be looked at the same lens with the same lens we look at Garnacho as a developing player. Yeah, well, I think I concur with that. I watched the match and I see, yeah, Garnacho, well, he's young anyway, so his decision making is going to improve, I think, at the end of the day.
Ola, don't forget that our legend Jesse Lingard is still young at 30. we don't need to fall for that stuff. We don't need to fall
No
for that stuff.
No problem. Let's get Dada's thought on the Chelsea performance away at Old Trafford. And before you go ahead, this kind of picture it went through to form book, because at the end of the day they were saying it's the most drawn fixture in Premier League history. Like it ends in a draw invariably more than often. So anything in a draw, I think, follow the trend. The same with the Arsenal Liverpool match. The most goals in Premier League is happened to that fixture, and it happened last week. So, did you go into this match thinking it will happen, like a draw will happen, that, or did you go in there thinking we need to get this 3 points?
Man, I agree with it, Tata. And typically, the old me would have gone on a trolling spree, even if we had won. There was nothing to troll about the game. So, I mean, a couple things. If you look at that fixture, Chelsea had now won at Old Trafford in 11 tries, right? So we've gone there
Wow.
11 times and we've never won a game. Last time we
Wow.
won was when Juan Mata played for Chelsea. So, keep that in mind. Yeah, exactly. So there was no way, even when Chelsea was at its best, we never win at Old Trafford. So going into that game, I told a lot of Chelsea fans, I'm like, we're not winning that game, right? So I wasn't expecting a win, and for what it is, football tends to follow trends, and ironically, the trends tend to be self-fulfilling prophecies, right? So you keep in mind, like just similar to us, players are hearing, "Hey, we've never won at Old Trafford." The United Chelsea game tends to end in a draw. So if you take all the sample size, it tends to end in a draw. That plays in your psyche, right? So when Chelsea is up 1-0, Casado is thinking, man, this game always ends in a draw. I'm going to go for this radical shot that I never take. And the defenders are like, oh, Chelsea are going to score again because this game always ends in a draw. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm watching the game at 1-0. I'm like, yeah, it goes again. We never win at Old Trafford, right? But on the flip side, if we always won at Old Trafford, if we were to be down 1-0, I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure we're going to score. The managers, everyone are going to believe Chelsea is going to score. So this thing ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's how records keep that's how the trend in records just keep going. So that's the statistical part of the game. And then kind of going to performance, I agree. It wasn't a manager bounce. I think the Leicester game was more of a manager bounce because United has not scored more than 2 goals in a long time. I cannot remember the last time you guys scored more than 3 goals was a League Cup performance in the semi-final, I think. So all through this season, United is one of the lowest scoring teams in the league, right? So for you guys to put 5 past Leicester City, that is a manager bounce. This game was very cagey. On the balance of play, I mean, the first half, I thought was set up well. Gusto really got into some good chances, but it didn't take them. Jackson was really nullified out of the game. Cole Palmer wasn't having a good game. But the reason was it went down to what Itata said. You guys set up very well. The midfield battle was strong, right? There was just not a lot of room for Palmer to roam into. Noni Madueke was kept silent. Neto was the only one that could do anything, but then even him himself was not connecting with Jackson. So all in all, it was a decent draw. Nothing surprising. If I had to put $1,000 on the outcome, this is what I would have bet. So the only thing that kind of gives me a little bit of concern is that now United might really use this opportunity to redefine their season, right? The new manager comes in, players are feeling really good, and then we can start getting some competition in that top 4, especially a week where a lot of teams that are they expecting to go for the top 4 spot actually drop points. So yeah, that's the only concern for me. It's like, man, this would have been a good opportunity for Chelsea to get 3 points, maybe finish third, and then really cement their place. But it was an expected result. It was an expected performance. There was just it was there, right? But yeah, so I
Yeah,
mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, as I said, it was really just expected. It was nothing out of the
yeah,
blue or nothing surprising about the performance or the results. So
yeah. The second half was probably the better half of the game. So there was more action. There was more attacking intent from both teams. Yeah, the penalty. Yeah, of course. I don't think there's any argument with the penalty. That was goalkeeper got there a bit late. But I was impressed by Chelsea's resilience. So even when Liverpool
yeah,
beat them last week,
the thing. Sorry, I was going to say that is what has changed about us from last season. So
yeah,
last season,
yeah,
down 1-0, they would have capitulated, and
yeah,
United would have got to win 2-0, 3-0, which is what we did last season, right? Because last season we lost what 3-1 or 4-1, something ridiculous. So after that United goal, Chelsea kept its cool. We kept going
yeah,
back at it. United also lost some good chances as well that they could have put away. So I think the team is getting better. You're seeing more maturity, but you can still
yeah.
tell that it's a young side, right? You can still there's some you don't see that kind of the maturity that you see in a more experienced team. So
Yeah, yeah, and that's for me. That was the takeaway, the main takeaway. Of course, we
I mean,
United. I won't read too much into Man United's performance today because, like it's outright, he said, Ruud is not the permanent manager. He's not the permanent manager, so we can't judge going forward that okay, this is how Man United is set up, and we know Amorim is more of a three at the back kind of
yeah,
guy,
5-3.
plays three at the back, so it's a different kind of system. But for me, the takeaway was Chelsea's resilience was exhibited again. I mean, we're not talking about the cup games. I'm talking about the league. Because I mean, when it came to Anfield, I could see like, man, they gave us a very tough match. They gave Liverpool a very tough match. And compared to last season, like you rightly said that when Chelsea went down at Anfield, the next thing they just considered like 4 goals, bam, 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 bam. But they stayed in the game when they came to Anfield, and even today they stayed in the game. That's how you know that the team is progressing. They are not
Yeah,
capitulating. They're not just losing their heads. But they considered penalty, and almost like maybe 5 minutes later, they got the equalizer. So
7 minutes later, yeah, they got right
yeah,
back into
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So that shows that the team is improving mentally, and I think that's a good sign that the manager is getting through to them. So I'm going to talk about the manager now, Maresca. Dayo says Itata said Maresca is not loud. That's not getting space. So like basically, he's saying that Ateta is loud. Maresca is not loud, but of course Dayo is just being. Well, I don't know. He's trolling. After we win this by Eastern, you all laughing at them. Well, your foot in your mouth. Please leave Arsenal alone. No. Arsenal, please let them recover from that. Ayo says it was an above average game. If Garnacho and Oiland had made better decisions, we could have nicked it in the second half. Yeah, that also said that because United had some good chances. Idris was in the group chat. Idris, I'm going to disclaimer. I'm going to say some of the things he was saying. He was so angry. He said, why did United sack this thing? Because he was so sure that if Ten Hag was there, Chelsea would have smashed them. Chelsea would have collected 3 points and 3 goals. Idris was so sure of it. But of course, unfortunately, Ten Hag got sacked before Chelsea went there. So Idris says Chelsea is a very young team. This is the first time I've kept about 80% of the team together in the last 3 years or so. Good point. And his summary, he says solid tactical game, but it won't take anything away from United either for setting up very well. Yeah, so it seems everybody is happy with like it's a fair result. But let me just quickly ask you, Tata, Amorim, before they appointed him, was he somebody that was on your radar? Was he somebody you thought that you would want for United? What's your feeling on the appointment?
Personally, and I think I can speak for majority of the Man United fans, we are now officially numb. So even if they bring Ancelotti and Pep Guardiola, so one is coach, one is assistant, we still don't trust what is going to come out of it. I think it's a deeper rot that would take a long time to get rid of. So we are United fans are cautiously just observing. If you notice, United fans the reasonable ones won't be loud this time, because we've been beaten so many times. We've brought world-class coaches. We've brought 2 Champions League winners in Mourinho and LVG. We even wanted to follow tradition. There was Matt Busby, a Scotsman, Alex Ferguson, a Scotsman. Let's bring David Moyes, another Scotsman. Let's follow tradition. That did not work. We've tried everything. We've brought an ex-player who, we had the bounce. It did not end well. So we've tried pretty much everything. I think this might be the first time we are trying someone who is completely left field. I know he's popular in modern day football, but he's, typical of United would probably go for like the Ancelottis and the Pep.
Yeah.
So we don't know what to expect. It might be a blessing in disguise that this guy, based on track record and pedigree, there is no pressure. But because of the size of the club, there is also pressure. So that's where we are, just observing. It was not on my radar. And to be honest with you, nobody really had an idea what Ineos would do. They're very unpredictable. If you notice, they're not playing to the script of the press. They're doing what they need to do. So even with this, we are cautious. But I think majority of United fans are gradually getting out of that 26-year reign of Alex Ferguson, because that would never happen again. Or Guy Rooks at Auxerre that was coached for 44 years. We will never see that, or Wenger. It will never happen again. So because I think that's part of the problem. United fans they want a reincarnation or a reinvention of the Ferguson stretch. It will never happen again. So now we have to accept in modern football, it's heavily results-based, and you have all of these billionaires who don't want to play with their money. If you don't deliver results, you get fired. It's just what it is. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But there is a glimmer of hope. Amorim is a younger coach who would be able to relate with a player playing on Saturday, Sunday, and is up bouncing on Instagram. There will be tolerance for certain things. Unlike the old school coaches may not tolerate certain things, that may work in United's advantage. It's a young coach who can relate to the young players and modern day times of doing things, sort of like player-coach relationship, which has completely evolved to the days of Lippi, where players would run to the sideline and get slaps while they're smoking cigar. That hardcore day is over. So that may work in our advantage, That may work in our advantage.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't on my radar, but I'm hopeful something comes out of it positive, but we are all cautious.
All right. So I'll just read the comments and then we'll go to the next topic that basically we're still going to be talking about manager. And that next topic. Idris, he said Ancelotti is not coming to that one. Wow. Idris, please. This is PG friendly podcast. we don't want this kind of language here, man. He said he tried to useless Dubai bandits at Everton. Okay, yeah, I like that part. Anything Everton.
Idris, your owner is trying to sign your comment. You guys sign everything. So this comment, your owner is trying to sign it.
I think Ancelotti is going to retire after he leaves Madrid, unless he goes to coach Brazil. Shagun Faro says, we haven't brought Arteta from Arsenal. We'll be back. We'll be entitled to run back to back. I'm not really sure what that means. So we haven't brought Arteta from Arsenal. Well, Shagun Faro, if you can clarify your comment, let us know. You can type another comment and make it clearer to us. Soji says he agrees with you, Spliff. Said at this point it's just kind of like it is what it is. Yeah. Typical. Like you guys are just so tired of all the nonsense. You're just like, well, whatever. I beg, just do what you want.
Yeah.
Idris says stop mentioning top models or top men for your job. United it is get to ain't no one of that caliber coming there. Well, Old Trafford is falling down. Nobody wants to come and be visiting that or get to stadium. Ayo is here. I remember Ayo hosted the podcast last week, and Ayo had like his tagline was Ineos on fraud watch. And that was just the day before the fight. Like It's like he prompted them to fire out Ten Hag because the very next day they sacked Ten Hag because he had them on fraud watch. He just wrote Ineos on fraud watch. That was Ineos from last week. So this is his comment. He said this is Ineos' first hire. We start to judge them from this summer. They say it's a great communicator, so that might help. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
So like United fans are just like, well, we don't really know what's going to happen. So I don't sense much optimism from you guys. It's like you guys are just so tired of all of this.
Yeah.
No optimism at all. Wow. Idris says we sign players like stock market buy every Monday. It's not a fail. Okay, now Idris standing up for Sugar third you. Okay, we go to the next topic. It's still based on managers because I've seen like we heard you mentioned quite a few managers that came to Man United.
Yeah.
So I'll start with you. Okay, out of all those managers that got sacked, let me remove this comment first from. Let me remove this comment from Idris so we can go to the next topic. So out of all those managers that got sacked, Bitata, who do you think maybe deserve, just name one manager that I think deserve more time? Out of Moyes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ragnick, Bangal, Mourinho. Looking back, hindsight, who would you think maybe should have given maybe a bit more time to turn things around? Just one of them.
In that order, I would say LVG, Mourinho, and possibly Ragnick. In that order. LVG, there was a clear style of play. He was heading somewhere. Pieces were coming together, but there was no patience from the fan base and the club itself. Mourinho is a winner. We all know he wasn't handed the keys to Old Trafford. And it became toxic, and then of course fans aligned. They queued behind players. There was Pogba FC, Martial FC, this FC, that FC. And then of course Mourinho was pretty much like this devil. I still have huge respect for Mourinho personally, but that's just me. United fans are, they struggle to embrace him, but I think he's a great coach. You can't take that away from him. If football
so you agree with him? Sorry. So do you agree with him when he says? Do you agree with him when he says finishing second with United was one of his greatest achievements? He keeps saying
it might not be his. I think his greatest achievement was jumping from winning the UEFA Cup to the Champions League back to back. I think that was incredible with Porto. That's his greatest achievement. But based on United, I wouldn't doubt him, because you have to understand, LVG said we are not a football club, that we are a business establishment or something like that. So imagine Mourinho, a football guy who is strictly a football guy, who is a blend of the old school. This guy has worked with Brian Robson, has worked with great coaches, has coached Ronaldo Lima, and then having him come to United where the Glazers are doing what they like. The former CEO, I've forgotten his name now, is doing whatever he wants. And this is a football guy in the middle of it. Not Gil. Gil was a football guy. The one after Gil, the one that helped the Glazers back the club. Forgotten his name now. Woodward. So Woodward doing his thing. The Glazers doing his thing, and then you have Mourinho, a football guy here in the middle, being pulled by all these controversies. He has a toxic nature in football, but ultimately he proved his point. He came second, won the Europa League. You can't doubt that it's a fact. He achieved that. LVG, we had a style of play. We were going to grounds dominating, but he did not have a killer instinct. That fans were not patient with it. Ragnick came and was pretty much a whistleblower, and United did not want that. So I think with those three, in that order, I would have given LVG the most time, personally.
Yeah, okay,
good. And then Mourinho, because he's a football guy.
I'll throw the question open to Dada now, because I know Chelsea have had a long line of managers who got fired. But I mean, looking back, who would you have kept longer? Who do you think deserve more time to turn this around in the past maybe couple of decades?
Man, we've gone through so many managers. I can't even remember their tenure and what they do. Very honest with you. And you know what? And people make fun of me for this because maybe I'm more Mr. Big picture structure. I don't really put a lot of emphasis on management. If you look at Chelsea, a lot of the managers that were fired, they've been a result of poor management at the top, right? I mean, if you look at United, since Fergie left, United has been a dysfunctional organization. And then firing managers is just an excuse to cover up your mismanagement, right? Now, there are times where you fire managers for bad performance. Chelsea, for example, I've always maintained this. When Chelsea was under the Roman regime, we were not a well-run organization, right? It was more of a Chelsea didn't have proper structure in place. So what we did during Roman was, you bring in a new manager. When things go wrong, you fire the new manager, but you never address the underlying issue of, how do we want to play as a club in 5 years? What do we want to do in 10 years? What is our philosophy? So there's really not a lot of long-term planning. So I'm not going to speak to the Roman era, but with the new management team, to be honest, I don't think any of those managers should have been given more time. Not because they were bad managers, because those managers came in at the wrong time. Graham Potter, okay, let's start with Tuchel, for example. Tuchel was just horrible at man management, managing up to his senior leaders, right? He always had an issue with his bosses. Same thing happened at PSG, same thing happened at Dortmund. He had his own personal issues. Now, if I'm a private equity company that I just spent billions of dollars on a team, and if I tell you to jump, your response should be "ow, not "oh, I don't feel like jumping, I want to sit down." That's not going to work. So Tuchel had to go. But then they brought in Graham Potter. Graham Potter came in at a really bad time because when you bring in an inexperienced manager, you want them to be at a structured organization where there's a good vision. So you had the owners who they don't even know what they want to do as a club, and then you're bringing in Graham Potter, you give him 70 players, and you're asking him to figure it out. Of course, it's going to fail. So, and then what did they do? They brought in Frank Lampard, and then they brought in Pochettino, and I personally felt like football had left Pochettino. So yeah, so none of those people deserve to be fired because the organization itself was lacked a vision. And now that they have a clear vision of what they're looking to do, they brought in Maresca, so there's alignment between where we're going and what we need to lead us. But if you never fix an organization, you can bring in incarnation of Jesus, Ancelotti, Pep roll into one. They're all gonna fail because you're not setting them up for success. Just going to United, I think the new manager is a good manager, but I feel like it's not gonna last at United if they don't fix their structure. United has 8 players injured. I was looking at the lineup today. Man, you guys are still playing Casemiro. Casemiro is a good player, but Rashford is almost at his last legs, and Bruno. It's kind of like you're looking at that team. It's like, what's the succession planning? What is the vision? What is the style? Like, where is United going to be in 5 years, and how can you get there? So oftentimes I don't blame managers. Managers are like puppets. If you don't have the right structure in place, they're always going to fail. So yeah, look at Liverpool, for example, right? Whatchamacallit left, and a slot came in, and it fit right in because you guys have a structure in place, and the system just kind of makes sense. You probably knew you were going to hire that guy 2 seasons ago, right? Because you know the profile of manager that you're looking for. So yeah, but anyways.
Yeah. Well, but for me, I thought maybe for sentimental reasons you would have said Frank Lampard, especially the first time round. I thought okay, let's go Frank Lampard the whole time.
Nah, I was never a pro Frank Lampard hire. I don't. Yeah, sentiment and business don't mix.
Exactly, and he came back again. That's the funny thing. He got hired again.
Yeah, because the second time we're looking to learn. Anyways, yeah, Frank Lampard is also another example of Igbo people get it. Anyways, I'm just gonna.
You don't want to go there today. Failing upward.
Yeah, I need to keep earning my paycheck. So.
I'll just take comments before we go to. I know that is probably going to leave very soon because they have stuff. So, but anytime you want to jump off, just let us know. But I just want to take comments before we go to the final topic of the day. And I'll give my thoughts on the manager for Liverpool. I felt Liverpool should have kept. But let me just quickly read comments. Let's see. Okay, so Soji, I'm just dialing back when I was saying United fans are not optimistic. So you say it's hard to be optimistic when the players aren't that great either. I don't know. I think some of those players have very good potential and some of them have talent. I just think they need a good structure. Even for Casemiro, he has his limitations, but I mean, in a properly set up team, Casemiro, he can still do a job for 2 years, in my opinion. So I don't think the
He
players are
was
that
one
bad.
of the decent ones today. Casemiro was
Yeah.
actually one of the decent
And he scored
ones
2
today.
goals in the previous match. He scored 2 goals and he's a defensive midfielder. I mean, come on. Okay. So Ayo says, weirdly enough, he did not want Moyes to get the job. He says they did not give that man enough time or good back in that summer. So even though he did not want Moyes to get the job, they did not. Interesting take, Ayo. Because I thought
he
Moyes was out.
wanted to sign Cruz. He wanted to sign Tony Cruz. So imagine giving him Cruz. Yeah, he wanted to sign Cruz. I remember.
I don't know. It felt like it, like Nigerians would say that it felt like paddy. Pagas just said, okay, let me give it to my fellow Scotsman, because I just felt Moyes was out of his depth. I don't think, no. I mean, in your opinion, you felt he should have been given more time, so that's fair. So Idris says Mourinho's statement is deeper than it sounds. This is regarding finishing second being one of his greatest achievements. Yeah, it's a deep statement. Street Fighter, please, can you give us your real name? We don't know who you are. Street Fighter. Which one are you now? Ken, Ryu, Chun Li. I'll be waiting. Which one? Let us know who you are. It says Ragni deserves time. Street Fighter, please give us your real name so we can appreciate you. So it just says, Moise that was saying this like, well, you guys know how to win. Exactly. I think Moise was happy with them, honestly. Yeah. Idris said he saw cracks in recruiting, saw attitude change, saw the level of talent, and finished second. Was him saying that it's smokes and mirrors? Yeah. Okay, I think Idris is still referring to Mourinho's comment about football.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he clarifies and says Mourinho's statement is deeper than it sounds. Okay, because he saw cracks in recruiting and all of that. Okay, we'll move forward. Idris says that is right about Chelsea. That's by saying there wasn't the right structure in place. Of course, it matters. You need to have your backroom well sorted before you now start advancing. Yeah, so that's true. And Street Fighter says that's point on succession planning makes sense. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So she says Frank Lampard is an example of a privilege. So this is what somebody wanted to say, but they could not say it live on podcast. So another person has said it for us.
Yeah, I have to say.
So you will be failing upwards. Imagine, fail the first play. They went back and brought it back. Oh, yeah, come and fail again. As in, seriously. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll go to the final topic of the day before we go to Kudos and Donkey. But before we jump to this, I'll say for Liverpool, I felt maybe Kenny Dalglish should have been given a bit more time. He spent maybe 18 months. He got us to 2 cup finals, and straight after the second final, he just sacked him. But of course, they brought Brendan Rodgers. I think it was Rodgers they brought in after him.
Yeah.
And then Rodgers was not a big step because Rodgers actually didn't win else anything. Then after Rodgers, they brought in Klopp. So fair enough, they brought in Klopp. But I mean, I think if they kept Dalglish longer, they probably would have stabilized us more before Klopp came in. So that's for me anyway. But many Liverpool fans felt the same. And eventually they went to pacify him by bringing him back to the club and giving him a club ambassadorial position. And they even named a stand after him. The same people that fired him, they went back and said, okay, come and be our ambassador. Sorry?
Brendan Rodgers was the one that started that Liverpool resurgence.
Yeah, we finished second.
But like that new era of, that was the closest y'all ever got to winning the title without winning it. So, I'll give Brendan Rodgers some credit in the role he played, kind of like reigniting this Liverpool resurgence, I think.
True. Sorry, Tata, were you saying something? Sorry, did I cut you off?
I was saying, unfortunately, I think there is a ditch waiting for Liverpool in future that they won't avoid, and that's Gerrard.
Please.
That ditch is coming. No, I'm telling you because he's Christian for it, but it's going to be a failure.
I don't think
it's going to happen.
It was supposed to happen, but I think it won't. Maybe not under this ownership. Maybe new owners will come in and say, okay, sentimental reason. But this ownership,
I think
they don't mix sentiment Oh, do you know that we have 3 players approaching the end of their contract? Virgil van Dijk, Salah, and Trent are all going on a free in May. And these owners, they are likely to let them all go because they don't mix sentiment with business. These are our owners. And that's why we are always arguing that these are our owners. We don't really like them. Because we want a bit of sentiment. As football fans, we want sentiment to be involved. But these ones, they just think so logically. They were like, these guys are old. Van Dijk is 33. Salah is 33. Let's cut them loose. And we're like, see, Salah is still banging in goals. Give him new contract. They're like, no, they're too old. Let's kick them out. So these owners will never hire Gerrard. These present owners, never. They will never. They don't make sentiment at all. Yeah, maybe the new owner also will now go and bring Gerrard, but not this one. Not this one. So we go to the last topic. Balon d'Or drama. Balon d'Or drama. So last week we had Rodri crowned Balon d'Or winner, but then we saw this drama kicking off from the Real Madrid end. What did you think about the data? Do you think it was justified? What was that all about? Seriously.
So I got it wrong, but I'll take this lastly. So the old Balon d'Or thing. There are 3 key points I want to make. One, individual awards in sports are very, very tricky because oftentimes they're very, very subjective, right? And then it's not like, so when Chelsea plays Liverpool, at the end of the day, there has to be a winner and it's by points. So there's no subjectivity. There might be subjectivity in performance, but results are results. So I think like individual performance tends to be very, very subjective and they tend to be very skewed to team performance. So for example, like Serena Williams being the best player, she was the best player, right? So golf, when Tiger Woods was good, Tiger Woods was good. The thing about sports team is when you have 12 players, it's not like or 11 players. It's not like Rodri was on the pitch by himself or Vini was on the pitch by himself. He was surrounded by other players. He had tactical managers that influence his performance. So how do you truly say one player is better than the other? But anyways, so every year there's Balon d'Or, unless there are some years where the person who wins it is just miles above everyone on an individual performance, and it's very obvious. But more often than not, there's always going to be some sort of controversy. Like, did they really earn it? And also, too, the criteria are often subjective as well, right? And it's also a voting system. So, anyways, so there's that. And then what happened this year was, I think there was a general consensus amongst fans that Vini was going to win it, right? Even he himself he thought it was going to win it. And then I also think that maybe there was chatter amongst journalists like, oh, who are you voting for? I'm voting for this person. So I think that's what permeated into that further crystallized this whole idea of Vini winning it. And then when he didn't win it, and also to keep in mind, there was a leak, which was even a poor occurrence as well. Like when you have that kind of leak, it just made everything weird. And also to who even leaked it, right? Like how does that even happen? Like this is meant to be like an airtight, professional event. This should be something that like, it should be guarded like election results. For that to leak, it just shows, lack of professionalism, and it just shows like something was not tricky but sneaky about it, right? It just felt weird that the results would come out earlier. So all that, and then now going back to the Real Madrid thing, I think Real Madrid players not going, the organization not going. I think that's a disgrace, right? Because at the end of the day, the organization has to be professional in itself, right? Like you can't just decide, oh, just because we didn't win it this year in solidarity, we're gonna step away. Uh, Honestly, I think they just need to do away with the award. I don't think it has any value to football. I don't think it has any value to the sports. I've never watched the Ballon d'Or. Now, granted, maybe if Palmer was going to win it, maybe that might change my sentiments. I don't know, maybe because a Chelsea player has never won it, So let me caveat with that. But personally, I don't care for individual awards. It tends to be weird. But equally, Real Madrid not going, I thought that was a disgrace. But I will say one last thing though. What I did not like about the Vini scenario was Vini faced a lot of racism in Spain the year before. And you often see this sort of juxtaposition between when you see players who speak against racism, people tend to tag them um, as bad players of the game, or he has an attitude, You know, why is he not doing X, Y, Z? We saw this with Balotelli. You know, oh, look at Balotelli. Why is he acting this way? But guess who was one of the most disruptive, thuggish players ever? Joey Barton. Joey Barton never got that kind of sentiments, right? People just kind of look at him like, oh, you know what, shit house Reed. You know, he's sticking it back to the. He's been a rough player. Oh, look at it. He's giving us the old school football attitude. But when it's Mario Balotelli, when it's Vinny Jr., the rhetoric tends to be, oh, he's a troublemaker, right? So I felt like that sentiment, whether actually wrong, not whether right or wrong, it was wrong, might have played a role in him not winning it. And I would say one last thing that I noticed about society is this the algorithm of social media. Right after the whole incident of Balon d'Or, guess what I was seeing a lot of on my IG, on my Instagram?
It happened to you too.
It happened to me. Right after that incident, guess what I was seeing a lot on Instagram? I was seeing a lot of videos of Vinny Jr., you know, being doing a lot of shithousery.
I thought it was only me.
I saw like 7 videos in one day of that. So all of a sudden, you're now seeing this kind of like rhetoric, like, oh yes, why he didn't win it? He's not a good player. He doesn't have class. It's not, you know, he doesn't have the pedigree. Oh, but now they will not show videos of Rodri feeding homeless children, rescuing dogs from burning buildings. And it just made me realize how susceptible we are as a society to brainwashing. How social media kind of like just puts these things out there that kind of, you know, just paints sentiments against one another. And in that moment, that was very, very scary to me. But if that is happening on a micro scale, that is happening on this sort of like footballing situations, think of how social media and this algorithm is changing our outlook on much larger issues, like maybe wars in Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, the US election in different places. So that was what was very interesting to me, even till now. And then you see a lot of people comment, wow, this makes sense. This is why Vini did not win it. It lacks class. That was scary.
It was scary. I didn't know. Honestly, I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring up that because that happened to me too. The day after Balon d'Or, my real, it was just Vini kicking players, fighting with players, and it was just, they just flooded my Facebook reel. That I was like, wow.
Flooded with it. And now if you ask the average person, why did Vini win it? Oh, say, oh, but look at when he threw the ball against the player. Look at the yellow card. Look at this. And it could just be statistically, it could just have been like maybe 5 occurrences. But you've seen those 5 already. What it does not is not criticizes this idea that, oh, you know what, Vini is a cheat. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, it's classless.
It's classless. There's a broader issue in society that we need to worry about. And that for me just kind of like, because I went with the opinion that this thing was close. I thought Vini should have won it. I thought some of his fight against racism might have played against him. But then all of a sudden, Instagram and social media is trying to convince me otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy. Thanks for going there. I mean, that was a fantastic answer. You covered everything. And thanks for joining us, Adam. Thank you for joining us today. Before I bring you into it, Tata, I'll just read some comments and then I'll get your perspective on this too. I mean, Dada said a lot of things that made sense, but I'll just get your perspective. Let me start with Idris. He said Balon d'Or has lost his prestige. If Messi was Vini with the same statistics, would Rodri have won it? Oh, sorry, I forgot to put that on the screen. Okay, so that's Idris' comment on the screen there. And then Toji also said Idris said it all. Credibility was lost when Lewandowski should have won it. Personally, I stopped watching Balon d'Or the year Lewandowski didn't win it 2 or 3 years ago. I just gave up on it. I was already losing a bit of faith in it, but I was like, well, I'm not going to be bothered about this anymore. Like, seriously. So, yeah, me too. But when Lewandowski should have won it and they didn't give it to him, I was like, I'm not really bothered about this. Ayo says the outrage from Real Madrid and some of the media smacked of being entitled and was just unnecessary. Yeah, I think Real Madrid went too far. But I think there was something underlying there. Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez, was the brainchild of the Super League. Him and the UEFA president, they don't see eye to eye. So I think that maybe there's a bit of like, that one was going on too, like that beef was there. And I think Madrid just decided to kick off based on the fact that, okay, we feel that UEFA president doesn't like us, that's why they didn't give any. Because the funny thing is, Madrid actually won 2 other awards in this Balon d'Or. They won best coach, Ancelotti won best coach, and I think Madrid won best team. So it's not like it wasn't like they didn't win anything, but just wanted that one for Vini. So, but I think Madrid also reacted based on the fact that they also their president has beef with the UEFA president. Let me read Ayo's comment, then I'll come to you, Idris, Ayo, and the other comments. Ayo said there was no outstanding candidate this year, so if any of Vini or Rodri won it, he would have been fine with that. Idris said, well said, that social media algorithm is very, very tricky. Yeah. I mean, that was a bit scary for me. The next, I was just seeing videos of, like, they were trying to convince people that, Vinicius, no, he didn't deserve it. He's this guy, Agbero kind of person. And Street Fighter, you have not told us your name. Who are you? Let us know who you are. They said this year, bottled the org. Okay, this must be either a Man United fan or a Chelsea fan. Who are you, Street Fighter? Bottled the org. Okay, Tata, what's your thoughts on this Balon d'Or fiasco?
Well, first off, I think this Balon d'Or award is it's presented by French football magazine, I think. Le Quick.
Yeah, they organize it. Yeah.
So it's not such a big deal. I think the marketing has put so much prestige on Balon d'Or. But if you kind of look at it that way, that it's organized by L'Equipe, it kind of puts it in its place. It was made prestigious in years past, like Rivaldo winning it, Zidane winning it. But then there was monopoly between Ronaldo and Messi for 11 years, 13 years. I don't know how long that ran for. I know Ronaldo has 5, Messi has 8.
8, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So 13 years. 13 years. Yeah. So 13 years of monopoly kind of watered it down too. Even though there was excitement, but it sort of watered it down. I know Modric was able to sneak in something in there. I think he won in 2018.
1 year. Yeah, I think after the World
Cup in 2018. Yeah. But personally, when I look at it, if you have to be honest with yourself, Rodri has been the most efficient and consistent footballer maybe in the last 3 years. In my opinion, I don't think we have associated deep in form or patch with Rodri. He's been very, very consistent. And it's typical of the very, very outstanding footballers, meaning wherever you put them, they play. Rodri is someone you can play street ball with, he'll adjust. You take him to the park, he's gonna adjust. You take him to NPFL, the Nigerian Premier League, he's gonna play. You take him to AFCON, no, Rodri will play. He's that kind of a footballer. So just based off of football and the fact that he's always instrumental for City, and then we know he pretty much took over the Busquets role and has been excellent at it. He is the glue for Spain too. He's the glue for City. So when you're looking at efficiency and consistency, there is just purely looking at football, no argument about it. I think Rodri deserved the Balon d'Or. I think he deserved it. But then, of course, Vini, I think the thing for me, because I'm not even looking at social media algorithm and all this propaganda. I'm just focusing on football. Vini is not the exact same footballer for Brazil. And in fact, there can be an argument that Rodrigo is more potent for Brazil than Vini. There is that conversation to be had. And even for Real Madrid, he is the poster boy, but people don't pay attention to Rodrigo. And of course, you know what happened last season. Bellingham pretty much statistically carried Madrid until a little over half the season. And then towards the end, Vini picked up. But Rodri has no question mark, be it City or Spain, Rodri is Rodri. So based off of football, I think Rodri is a deserved Balon d'Or. But whoever won it would have been well deserved to win it.
Yeah, for me, I wasn't too invested in it like that. I just
Yeah,
felt it was just the drama that was interesting to me. Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
Madrid just created drama, I said, we're not going. No, you cheated our player. You cheated our player. We're not going. I was like, come on. When did this start
Yeah.
happening? They start boycotting
Uh,
ceremonies.
yeah, like you said, I don't think boycotting it had anything to do with Vinny not winning it. Because
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you have to distill it down to just football, Vinny did not
yeah,
deserve to win it. I
yeah.
think it
And
was
Madrid still
rooted
won other
more
awards.
in the fiasco of Super League. I think
Super
that's
League. Yeah,
where the whole thing.
yeah.
I'm
I
leaning
think that.
towards what you say. I think it's more Super League than because Vinny did not win it.
Yeah, because they still gave Ancelotti best coach and they gave
Yeah,
Madrid best club or something. So what's all that
yeah,
about? Okay,
yeah,
I just quickly read the final few comments before we round up. Kaiser, that's our beloved Bayern Munich fan, said
yeah,
Ballon
yeah.
d'Or has always been shooting
Very
since
good.
2013 when voting was extended to deny Ribery and award Ronaldo. Yeah, I think there was 1 year Ribery, I think, got
Hmm.
robbed, so to
Yeah,
speak. And Dyer also continues and says there was no standout player this year. Awards decided by votes will always be controversial. Clubs and players even campaign on that before the awards. Yeah, I don't think it's always controversial. Like I think you rightly said, there's some years where, or maybe it was that said, there's some years where beyond question, you know that okay, this player
yeah,
was the best for the whole year, and sometimes there's no controversy. You just know that okay, this player definitely there's nobody close to him, and he's going
yeah,
to win it. So I mean, yeah, most times it can be controversial, but there's some years that it's not controversial. Just know that this person
mm,
has to win it. And for me, the year that Lewandowski was supposed to win it and he
yeah,
didn't get it, that was when
yeah.
I finally just
Yeah.
gave up. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
that,
not so
that was
interested.
that was he won everything. He won all
He
the
won everything.
trophies.
I think he
You
scored
saw that
over 50
picture he
goals.
took with all of the trophies he won
Yeah,
that calendar
I think
year.
he scored over 50 goals that season or something. I was
Yeah,
like, how did they not win it? How did they not give him this Balon d'Or? It's
yeah,
not like he didn't win it. I think it's because they just said because of COVID that they are not going to award it to him or something. Can't he just post it to his house? Does he have to tell them because of COVID? We are not giving it to him because COVID is there. Oh, come on, just give him his
yeah. That
award
was
and post
ridiculous.
it to his
That was
house.
ridiculous. Yeah,
No, 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 that was just
that was the year that Balon d'Or did not hold. That was
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they say we're canceling because of COVID or something. I mean, okay, just award it. You don't have to even send him the trophy.
People don't have to be
Just
in
say,
the
okay, you
same
won it,
space.
and you can take it
Send
later.
it
I
to
mean,
him.
2 years,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
send it to
Mail
him.
it to him.
They just say, oh, we cancelled it, we cancelled it. I said, oh, if it was Messi or Ronaldo who had that kind of year, you will not cancel it too. But for Lewandowski, well, you not cancel Lewandowski's own. So just crazy. So just says, I think it was due to the marketing campaigns they had to announce. And after, and after, yeah, because I think Madrid already had some marketing campaigns. Even Vini, I think he had party planned already. Like in his mind, he had
Yeah,
already won. Basically, in his mind, he had already won.
yeah.
So he had parties, he had everything planned. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I think we'll just wrap it up here. We've gone past the hour.
Mm.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you for all the people that were in the comments.
Uh,
So G, thanks for joining us.
I will
Sorry, Itata?
quickly. We have to congratulate the Nigerian Flying Eagles for winning the WAFU
Thank you.
Zone B. You know they did real
The
good.
big
So
Ghana.
kudos to the
Who did they
Flying
beat
Eagles.
in the
Beat
final?
Ghana 2-1.
Yeah.
2-1. Ghana 2-1. So kudos to the Flying
So,
Eagles. Flying Eagles and the Black Satellites have qualified for the U20 AFCON. So that's
nice,
something good.
nice.
Yeah,
It's always good for Nigeria to beat Ghana in any
yeah,
match, especially in the final. In the final, it's always sweet to beat
yeah,
Ghana. So it
yeah,
was congratulations to them. So I just want to
yeah.
thank all our commenters, Soji, Dayo. Thanks for commenting today. We're also thanking you, Street Fighter, whoever you are. You did not give us your real name. We don't know
I
whether you
know.
are M. Bison. We don't know whether we don't know which one you are, but you're Street Fighter. Idris, thanks for joining us today. Ayo, thanks for your comments. Who else? I think we had some people earlier in the comments too. Yeah,
Jola was Oga Kwame. Yeah, Oga Kwame was
Oga
in there.
Kwame was there too. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Raji, for coming to cook the Arsenal fans who did not want to show up. Arsenal fans, we need you to show up next time so you can give rebuttal.
I
This
know.
loud Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Tata, for joining us. Thank you so much. And
Thank you
so,
so much. It was a good show.
yeah, so I just quickly
Yeah.
do our social media handles before I leave again. YouTube is at Footy Fantasy. Twitter is at Footy AD Fantasy. Instagram is at Fantasy Footy. And give us a like, share, subscribe, spread the word, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Sure.
You're watching Footy Fantasy. It is sure say the thing will beat your football needs. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. It's Footy Fantasy. You're watching Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy. It is sure say the thing will meet your football need. Your football need. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. Your eyes go see.